What's up, rumorites and innuendoins? Is that pretty good? This is Dominic D'Angelo. I'm of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. And guess what, guys? I am here. With Robert Carpley.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, what's happening?
Sorry, I'm a minute late there. I had an overrun in another meeting. So you've got a microphone? What is going on?
I do.
How long was
Fancy.
I away?
So it's kind of like that Short Circuit. Is that movie way back in the 80s where the kid went in a coma and then woke up and he was like in the future again?
No, that is not Short Circuit. Short
That's not
Circuit is the one where they build a robot and Fisher Stevens is pretending to be Indian. It's a very problematic movie.
My goodness. Okay.
But
Well,
which also this is why I say your brain doesn't really work fully because it's like I saw Fisher Stevens dressed in that version of blackface, not realizing he was an Indian. At the same time, a couple of years later, it's like Yokozuna didn't realize he's not Japanese.
what?
I'm super confused. But on the plus side, really quiet weekend. Nothing really of note.
Pretty low key.
How are we gonna kill time, man?
I don't know. There is a couple cards to go over, but nothing wild, Robert. But we did have AEW All In, and that did take place.
Right.
Yeah, that took place in London at Wembley Stadium, nonetheless. High stakes in the main event. We had Bryan Danielson.
Oh, we're throwing order out the window.
No, we're doing order. I'm just
John. What are you doing to me?
Setting the tone.
I get it. I get it that I was a minute late. Let's not punish me for that.
Okay. All right. But we did have AEW All In. Let's give a couple shout outs here before we get to cooking. Good afternoon, R&I, my cure for the Mondays. I think I'm the only one that was fine with Christian Cage winning the gauntlet. We'll talk about that.
Are people mad about that?
Yeah, people are a little bit.
Here's what I'm going to say, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you joining us around the world. I did not watch All In live last evening. I watched All In early this morning and did not look at or see any of the feedback or responses online. Only person I've talked to about it was Scott Chaplin. He and I recorded something for the Working Stiff Patreon. We did a pretty good deep dive into that show. It's sitting in Dom's inbox right now, so this is really just as a reminder for Dom to post that. I have been in kind of a little bit of a wrestling bubble. I'm unaware of what general feedback is. So what you're going to be hearing, which is usually the case, is just sort of my unvarnished opinions, and then we'll hear from Batman over there.
That's right. Please, Bruce Wayne.
Kayfabe.
It's okay. That's okay. So we did have quite the card. I will be forthright too and say that I watched 0 hour of All In 0 hour.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
But
go ahead.
This is all I'll say really briefly about 0 hour. The matches that were on there had 785 participants. There was a 16-man tag match situation going on there. There's a lot of individuals. There was, I believe, a 10-man tag on there. On the one hand, I get it. You want to allow people to have that opportunity to compete at Wembley, at All In, be in front of that crowd, get a little bit of that payday, have that moment. WWE used to do that when they would have these battle royals that would exist before WrestleMania. You want everybody to have that little participation moment. So it doesn't bother me, but at the same time, I'm not really going out of my way to see, Sammy Guevara dressed like Wolverine fighting Brian Cage dressed like Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
But Jamie Hayter did come back on the pre-show, which great moment. Her and Saraya in front of the UK crowd. Love that. So much fun. But let's focus on the main 4-hour show.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes of it all. And we started off.
Or as they call botulism there, steak and kidney pie.
Oh, there we go. It started off with a 4-way ladder match for the AEW World Trios Championship. And Pac and Blackpool Combat Club, which is Claudio and Wheeler, Utah, they get the win. Christian Cage shows some tension with Kill Switch. We'll go address that a little bit later on. But surprised by the opener, but pleasantly surprised, I would say, Robert.
Yeah, you look at this card, I think this was a very smart match to open with. They did not give them all entrances. They did the entrances during the pre-show. So it's like, guys, we're here. We're in All In. Let's go. The ladder match was very good. but a lot of ladder matches can be very forgettable. I think that we've seen a lot of these spots, a lot of multi-man spots. It's a lot of things that they've set up, they cooked up in the back, and it's let's see how creative their mindsets are. I think there were some fun moments in it. The idea that Killswitch could have won the six-man tag titles, but for the fact that he had to go hoist Christian up because Christian wanted his moment of glory. I think that was a fun little storyline beat, and giving Pac the win in front of his home crowd to make up for the fact that he won the Glory Hole Invitational and did not get a chance to get the happy ending that he was hoping for from that Glory Hole, made me feel like, all right, we gave him something. And obviously Pac, a longtime member of the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yes, most tenured, perhaps.
I love that you were just like, yes, and then when you're like, wait a minute, you're like, wait a minute.
Um, I also like the fact that this opened the show because of all the action, what you can do, kind of set the tone for the show. But on top of it too, nobody really gives a crap about the trios championships. So this was kind of a way to be like, okay, I forgot about this match. This is gonna be fun, and then kind of put that, uh, you know, varnish on it, so to speak. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, the problem with the six-man titles is they primarily exist on Collision, which
Hmm.
has an audience of tens of people. So when you have titles and storylines that do not exist on Dynamite, which is sort of the only show that the majority of the AEW audience watches, and they're not seeing this, it does feel like, oh, these are titles that do not matter. And the truth is, they do have a lot of compelling six-man teams. There's obviously the teams that were in there. We've seen Top Flight and Action Andretti. There was Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, that group. The Von Erichs and Dustin, who were the six-man tag champions in the Ring of Honor. That group with Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly, the Undisputed Kingdom. There's a lot of depth to build a six-man tag division. They just choose to focus that on Collision. And if they just said this is a Collision exclusive division, I think it would do them a lot of good.
Yeah, just make some delineation and create some distinction between your shows. It's always a valuable thing to do, and AEW really needs to do that with their bloated roster. But uh, what was a great match following up was the AEW Women's Championship. Mariah May defeating Toni Storm to become the new Women's Champion. One of my favorite matches on the card, Robert.
Home run, totally bought in because they were telling a story, and we had been given those story beats for weeks and weeks and weeks, in some degrees months. And when you give the women's division an opportunity to tell a truly compelling story with performers who know how to make the most out of every moment that they have, and you get to the match, it's rewarded. This is one of those things that I have harped on week after week, month after month, sounding like a broken record. But when you marry the sports entertainment with the in-ring wrestling, you get the best of all worlds. And there were moments in this match. There was a moment in this match where Luther got a pop.
Right.
He threw up the middle finger. That crowd went nuts for it. Like, that's the advantage of telling a well-crafted story. 5-star matches are great and wonderful and all that, but when there's a fantastic match connected with a really interesting story, the audience is going to be that much more invested. And this crowd, I'll take this moment right here to say it, they were there to have a good time. Mike Lawrence, one of our working stiff co-hosts, texted the group and said, the British crowd, it feels like they're at a party. Like, they just want to have fun. They want to have a good time. WWE is learning those international audiences are really fantastic. So what makes something good becomes that much more elevated when the audience is that white hot.
Right, right. And this match really deserved it and earned it. Like, Mariah May, such a fantastic, she's great in the ring, but I think her charisma and what she exudes on the camera, it really tells. Like, when she powerbombed Toni Storm off the apron and the look she gave and stuff like that, she took moments to really be like, this woman's a psycho.
She hit her own mother.
Right, she smacked her own mom. It's like, you can't get worse than that, and then she wins the championship. So, setting up the women's division really well, and Mariah May is the right person to kind of carry that torch. And plus, you have such a captivating baby face that's a lot of fun in Toni Storm. So there's a lot more to come with that, and probably definitely the top 3 favorite matches on the card. Maybe rounds out the third spot, but that I really like this match a lot.
Yeah, I think this is probably my third favorite match on the whole show.
Yeah. What was did the following match surpass that? It was the last chance match for the FTW Championship. Hook defeated Chris Jericho, who was the further world champion. Now he is no longer. Hook locked in the Red Rum, while Taz locked in one on Brian Keith on the outside, and we have a new champion. Robert, we've talked about Jericho. We talked about this learning tree. Did this match do anything for you?
It gave most of the fans a 10-minute window with which to urinate. I'm sure they're very
Oh.
appreciative of that. Look, so I was not here for the preview, which thank you to Kevin for filling in on Friday. I did do a preview of it on the Working Stiff podcast that came out last Thursday. But what I had said there was the moment that would make this worthwhile is Taz engaging in some way, shape, or form, choking somebody out, and then ultimately getting the big father son moment. Taz choked out your boy Brian Keith. We got the father son moment. This was kept to 10 minutes. It was essentially a 3-on-1 handicap match for the bulk of it. If you stop and think for a moment and go, wait a minute, Shibata was there because he's on the pre-show and he didn't come out to save him. Let's not get bogged down in the details. At least it was short, and now Hook has the FTW title. Taz was kind of hinting online that maybe they're going to rethink the title. Maybe they're not going to continue it going forward. I don't need another title. I don't need a fake title. Hook getting the win, and now moving on to anything else. Anything else. I don't care. I would say I don't care, and then watch them be like, "Oh, we'll show you." So the fear now is Jericho needs something to do.
I'm intrigued.
Of course, you're intrigued. Be intrigued. What's next? We got 75 more matches to go.
Okay, we do. I wanted to think if I had anything to say, but no, I thought it did what it was supposed to do. The match,
It could have been worse. How's that?
Big Bill was super over too. By the way, Big Bill was over with that Wembley crowd
because he's 11.5 feet tall.
He's a big man, and you can't teach that. Three-way tag match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Young Bucks taking on the Acclaimed, taking on FTR. The Bucks get the win, retain, and get the pinfall on Dax. And then we have a little bit of a skirmish afterwards with what's the name of the Grizzled Young Vets? Grizzled Young Vets show up. Robert, this is probably my least favorite match on the card, to be honest. It did nothing for me.
Wow.
Yeah. But your thoughts?
I don't know that I would go that far. Here's what I'll say, and this is weird. Let's mark the timestamp here at 12:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is the first time I may ever have been saying they probably should have given a little bit more time to a Young Bucks match.
Yeah, right?
This thing was 12 minutes and a handful of change. The Acclaimed rap, like before the rap, they were wildly over. That audience, they did that little music beat and they got to chant. They made them feel like a big deal. I thought the rap itself was pretty lackluster and a little hard to hear. And I would have thought that Max Caster would have tried to be like, all right, I'm going to bring it. This is a huge audience. We didn't get that. The match itself had a couple fun beats. Max helping hit the BTE trigger and then hitting FTO. Oh my God, my mind.
The big rig.
The big rig. Thank you. Loved that little moment right there. Bucks retaining made the most sense. And then after the match, Stuart Green kind of says it right here. Grizzled Young Vets got zero reaction. I think the crowd was a little, hey, it's cool. This is people we know. They're European. They're UK stars. Excalibur, bless his heart. He went, oh, you think these guys are even slightly over? I'm going to fix that. It's the Grizzled Young Vets who we saw several months ago on an episode of Collision.
Right.
Wow. Way to make them feel special. It's AEW Dark Elevation's own the Grizzled Young Veteran. Like, come on. Just lay out. Trust that the audience who knows who they are knows who they are. And let's just move on.
Yeah, so the fact that they came out and you're looking at a tag team that's arguably one of the greatest tag teams in the modern era, in FTR just laid out too, they're supposed to be the thought after of all this, where, I don't know, this match just did not click for me. I thought they could have created a bigger moment too. I think the Acclaimed are well past their sell date. I think you could break them up and created a big moment there if you did that. Like had Caster turn on Bowens, do something big. But this just, yeah, to your point, might need a little bit more time, but it also just was
The
it was forgettable.
positive, the
Yeah.
positive. I didn't mind the match. The positive here is they know we've got All Out in 2 weeks. And the thing that I've always harped on AEW for, one of those things is you don't capitalize on your pay-per-views, and then it's like, and what happens next? Well, here you have a ready-made match in FTR and the Grizzled Young Vets for All Out in Chicago. So I would imagine that we are now setting up an immediate blood feud.
Right. Okay, that's a great point too. And to what happened earlier in the show and later on, we get that again too when it comes to
We got a couple times. What's our next match?
Yes, actually, it's speaking of what we just talked about, the Casino Gauntlet for the future AEW World Championship title shot. Orange Cassidy led it off, but we had a lot of great surprises. Okada was second in line. Then we get Nigel McGuinness out. Big return for him. Big moment for him. Then Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr. We talked about maybe him showing up. Roderick Strong, Jay Briscoe. Get Hangman, Double J, our boy, was the next man. And then Ricochet makes his AEW debut. Then the shocker was Christian Cage coming out unexpectedly and getting help from Luchasaurus, who did a little swerve for us. And ended up being Christian Cage winning this match and getting the title shot. Kind of indicating what may be things to come. What'd you think of this match, Robert? A lot of cool names. Tony Schiavone even took a moment to be like, look at all these great names coming out here. Like, and just, it was a really great wrestlers you could think of being in this matchup.
So in the preview I did for All In, I joked that this is the perfect AEW match because the thing AEW does the best is entrances and surprise returns. And this was a match of nothing but entrances of surprise returns. And it's no secret that this wound up being my second favorite match on the entire show. I thought that opening with Orange Cassidy, said it when he won the number one spot, because you were going to get that crowd singing along to the Pixies. It was a hell of a moment. Okada as number 2. This is what bugs me from a business perspective. Okada was not announced for All In. We thought we were going to get him and Claudio. Instead, we got them on Dynamite. And there would have been no harm in announcing that he was going to be in the gauntlet match. The Elite clearly abusing power, whatever story you want to tell, hey, he's going to be in this match. The reason I say that is the building was not sold out. All In last year, you were going to get some tire kickers, some people who had never been to Wembley, never been to a live AEW show. They were going to go. And they look down, they go, the hassle of getting down there, finding parking, taking public transportation, waiting in line, spending an inordinate amount of money on tickets to see the folks I saw. I don't know. And the one guy who wasn't there last year who's there now is Kazuchika Okada, and he's not even announced for the show. Maybe I'm not going to go spend my money on this. And if that was even 100 extra tickets you could have sold, 500 extra tickets you could have sold by announcing Okada, it was worth more than the surprise pop for him because you got a number of other surprise pops. As a fan of Nigel McGuinness, as someone who considers himself friendly with Nigel McGuinness, I was so happy to see him get this moment there at Wembley. I popped huge for it. I thought he looked like he was in great shape. He was an intriguing entry to this. Obviously, Ricochet, a dude I have known for years and years and years. So happy to see him get that Wembley moment. And the Christian of it all, at the end of the day, he was the only person who could have won this match. If we're being realistic here.
Okay. Yeah, explain. I'm intrigued.
Happy to.
Yes.
Knowing who won in the main event, obviously, if you're watching this by now, we're not spoiling anything. Bryan Danielson is your new AEW World Champion. We will get to that in just a few moments. So you know that whoever wins this is going to be facing Bryan Danielson at some point. We know that Darby is going to be facing Bryan Danielson at Arthur Ashe Stadium because he won some battle royal, whatever. So you're not going to do Orange Cassidy and then have Bryan's entire last run just be babyface matches because that's a little less than exciting. You're also not going to rush to do a Kazuchika Okada match with Bryan unless that's happening on a major pay-per-view. So and he's also the Continental Champion, so you're not going to necessarily tie him up with that. Nigel, we don't know what shape he's in. Kyle O'Reilly, who are we kidding? Zack Sabre Jr. just won the G1. I don't know that New Japan is going to be thrilled that their G1 champion is going to be going up against the AEW World Champion. Roderick Strong, lucky he has a job. Jay Briscoe got a nice pop. That's not really his spot. Sorry, it's Mark Briscoe, by the way. You have Jay Briscoe in the notes, so bless your heart.
Sorry.
Jay Briscoe would have been a totally different story. Hangman would have been the guy to win if we were going to get Hangman and Swerve. We're not going to get Hangman and Bryan Danielson because I think that Hangman and Swerve Strickland obviously have a date in a couple weeks, and that's where they're going with all that. Jarrett, to hell with him and stealing our spot. People would have been mad if Ricochet debuted and immediately became number one contender. I think there would have been a lot of griping about it. And then that leaves you Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. The tease from what happened earlier in the show, are they not getting along? Is Luchasaurus finally taking back his name and his authority and his position? He's not. And here's why Christian winning makes sense. The moment he takes that microphone, looks into the camera, and says, "Hey, Birdie, oh my God, we're at sports entertainment at its finest." That's all you need. That's it. Do not overcomplicate this. Do not make it more difficult than it is. You have the dude who goes after kids that don't have parents and the guy who's basically fighting and then going to go home to his kids. Like, kids, guys, men, women, rumor and innuendoites, whatever the hell you want to call yourselves. This is pro wrestling. And Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, no, it is not an 11-star dream match, but Christian gets great matches out of everybody. Brian's going to have a hell of a lot of fun. That is basically a night off with a very safe opponent in what will be a very, very fun storyline. My God, there's still matches, and we've got 8 minutes left to go, dude.
We better get cooking. But yes, great point, Roberts. I agree with you on all that. AEW American Championship.
Before we get to that, I was going to do this because here's the thing, Dom. We only have 8 minutes left. Like, time is an incredibly valuable commodity here on Rumor and Innuendo.
Yes.
And something like having to manage and worry about body odor used to take up a lot of my time, take up a lot of Dom's time. Right when this thing is over, I got to go hop on a plane. The last thing I want to do is be reeking next to the person who's going to be sitting next to me. So worrying about this is a thing of the past since I have switched to Mando whole body deodorant. It is packed in my luggage. It is ready to go on my trip with me. I freed up a lot of time, which means more time for doing the things that I love, like being able to talk about the remaining matches here at AEW All In. Here's why. Mando doesn't cover up odor after the fact with heavy fragrances like certain other deodorants. It stops odor at the source by blocking the bacteria on your skin from eating your sweat, which is what actually causes BO. What does that mean? It means Mando is clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. I'm going to be gone for 72 hours. I could theoretically just go with the Mount Fuji that I got under my arms right now and be good until Thursday. I'm not going to do that, wrestling fans, because I'm not a lunatic, all right? I'm going to put extra deodorant on over the next 3 days. I don't have to, but by God, I'm going to. So give yourself the precious gift of time and get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. We have a special offer for new customers. You get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack with code RUMOR at shopmando.com. That's going to come with a whole body deodorant. Mando is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Any part of the things that I'm wearing, anything that Dom seems to feel comfortable just showing off in public. I'm hoping it's just the tank top and then he's wearing some sort of undergarment below his waist. And even if he's not, he could just wear some whole body deodorant for when they bring him into lockup. This was created by doctors who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, like the people who let Bryan Danielson continue to wrestle when it looked like he may have been dead at one point during the match. This thing is American-made, aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, and vegan. And this Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with the solid stick deodorant, comes with the cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, as well as free shipping. This equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use our special promo code RUMOR at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Will Ospreay and MJF.
Yes. They did not stink up this match either.
That was what I was going to say. I love that.
Then, this was my second favorite match of the night. Liked it a lot. And then we got a surprise return in Daniel Garcia. And I think that is beneficial in more ways than one for AEW that he is back there. But Will Ospreay, is the new American Championship. Oh, hold on, an international championship now again. So, Robert, what did you think of this match? I really liked it.
Very good match. The fear that I had going into it was sort of true, which was slightly diminished returns.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that amazing match on Dynamite, and I just kept thinking, it almost went an entire hour. They pulled out everything in their arsenal. What a beautiful story! What a beautiful match! It's going to be tough for them to top it, and with less time, it's going to seem a little lesser than. With the Danny Garcia reveal, it's going to seem a little lesser than. We will get a rubber match at some point down the road. That was kind of my takeaway, if there was a takeaway out of this entire thing, which was Ospreay did not beat him clean. He did hit the Tiger Driver, and while I would have hoped that would mean that MJF would have sold like his paralyzed for life or whatever, we're going to get him and Danny Garcia. It looks like in 2 weeks it all out. So there's a very short window. The Apollo Creed getup that he wore was absolutely hilarious. As Wrestling Old Head points out here, MJF with Lex Luger tights pop me. He should have come out to "I'll Be Your Hero" by Jim Johnston. That would have been great. It's a minor criticism to say this wasn't as good as their 5-star match. It's kind of like those people who say Avengers Endgame was not as good as Infinity War. Like, you're a matter of inches. And yes, I'm talking about inches with the UK audience, but Ospreay winning made sense. Great match. Got a lot more to say on it that we'll get to it at another time, but we only got a couple more matches to go, Dom.
That's it, man. We do. What next up? We have
women.
TBS Women's Championship match. Mercedes Moné defeating Britt Baker. Moné looked great. Britt Baker, not so much. This was a match that definitely highlighted Mercedes Moné, and I thought that was the right move in that regard. Big entrance, made her feel like a big deal.
Least favorite match on the show by a country mile, as I'm sticking with odd American measurements,
How dare you,
which is
Robert?
fine.
Jeez.
Yeah, Britt Baker was definitely not up to the challenge. They gave this match 17 and a half minutes. They gave this match way more time than it needed to. They gave it more time than the Mariah May match, which I think deserved every bit of the 15 minutes it got. But my hope is when Britt came back through the curtain, dejected, the only person standing in gorilla was a slow clapping MJF. That's all I hope. That would have been the all-in backstage brawl that we would have liked to have seen.
I want to see that footage.
Just moving. We can move on because I think that AEW is now finally going to feel that they can move on from Britt Baker.
I agree.
There is continuing diminished returns. It's time to focus on people who truly deserve an opportunity in that company.
Like Jack Perry and Darby Allin.
No.
Yeah.
Unlike
Coffin
Jack.
match.
This match, when this match started, I was pissed because I forgot that this match was even there.
Really?
I was like, oh man, the women's match is over. Let's go to the main event. Oh no, we got to sit through this. It was 10 and a half minutes. It was one match too many. This could have been a match on Dynamite. This could have been a match at All Out. Like, I didn't need it for the show. I didn't think that it was a great match. It was a fun little spectacle. It gave that live crowd sting, who taking retirement seriously.
They made perfectly clear, though, he's not returning back to the ring.
I know. But they made it perfectly clear that he's not, yet he's the retired old guy who definitely just took out Jack Perry and the Bucks.
Listen, A-okay with it. A-okay with it. I think Sting has that moment. You have Metallica playing. You get him. He's a big star still, nonetheless. And I was really enjoyed his ability to kind of convey himself without talking at all. He's so great at that. And I think this really was a highlight of that. So I'm all for it. 10-minute match, totally fine. Yeah, I kind of agree that it could have been on a different show. But considering everything, it's a little different.
Well, with 1 minute left, there's one match to go.
That's
Dom,
it.
what did you think of that main event?
We had Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson. Loved it. Was apprehensive about everything surrounding it. Family at ringside, all that stuff. Danielson and Bree know their kids better than we do. So, and it ended up working out really well. The storytelling aspect of this match sold me more than actually the physical stuff. And all of it was great, Robert. My favorite match of the night.
Favorite match of the night. Loved this match. Again, the kid element of it was always going to bother me. I can't help it. I'm a parent.
Sure.
I don't know that I want my kids to be there at that moment, especially with the blood and all that. That being said, trying to push that to the side and seeing what it is that they tried to do. They went out there. It was art. It was beautiful. The storytelling, the match, the Swerve shaking off one of the Psycho knees, I thought was a hell of a moment right there. The finish, the emotion from the crowd. The only thing I probably would have not done is I don't think you needed anything with Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, you could definitely make an argument for that. I agree with that too.
You know, the thing that I suggested was after the match, Bryan celebrating, Swerve obviously goes to the back. You do a .com exclusive where they're filming him walk through the curtain. He's all, exhausted and all that, and then have Hangman jump him. And then that be the only piece of footage you have, a little fun wink and nod to what happened last year at All In with people in the back fighting. But like, at least that would have been like, all right, now we can get to these guys and let them just have the next round of their blood feud. Bryan winning, his kids playing with confetti. It's going to make the next little run all that more intriguing. I thought a very strong way to end that show, and a very strong way to end this show for today for Rumor and Innuendo. Quick programming note: I will be off the next 2 days as I will be traveling. So Dom will hopefully have some exciting guest hosts, and hopefully not Marcus D'Angelo, who with the profanity and the Jared enablement. And from what I've seen on Facebook, he's getting in fighting shape.
He is.
I'm a little scared of this
I
situation
can take him
here.
still, though.
He did say he would fight your favorite podcaster. I almost wrote my favorite podcaster is Dominic D'Angelo. And you know why Dom is my favorite podcaster? Because of the different shows that he produces across a myriad of networks. Dom, I might not be here for the next 2 days, but people can get a lot of Dominic D'Angelo.
They can, yes. New RVD dropping today at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We cover a lot of great ground on that one. Rob talks about Cauliflower Alley Club, talks about a little bit of working punches, and Jack Lanza teaching him how to punch. Really, really cool stories there. Tune in today, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to catch me later on this week. A Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, Greg Gagne will be back. We're going to have a live with Bill Alfonso coming up. He'll talk about his Cauliflower Alley Award that he got and his experience. Super awesome. Happy for him. So be on the lookout. Go to OneTrueSportTV.com. Go to RVDTV.com and FourHorsemenNetwork.com. Robert, you just got done recording Working Stiff. Excited to listen to it. Excited to post it, too.
That'll be up on the Patreon for the Working Stiff folks that are $5 tier. I'll be back later on this week. I'll be back on Thursday for Rumor and Innuendo. I'll be back on Thursday for the Working Stiff main show. But relax, because Rumor and Innuendo, with or without me, with or without Dom, will be here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative _ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on ad-free shows Working Stiff and Rumor and Innuendo. So on behalf of the Dark Knight himself, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
I'm all in Gotham City.